I never thought a pig would be the reason my entire town unraveled, but yeah, that happened. One morning, my pig, Buster, was digging like he always did in this one stubborn spot, and I swear, when the HOA president screamed, "Stop that immediately or we'll have you arrested," it was so over the top, I actually laughed. But the cops didn't laugh when they showed up and saw what Buster had uncovered. Their hands were shaking, their faces went pale, and right then, I knew this wasn't just about some pig making a mess in my yard. This was about something much, much older. Let me back up a sec. I'm Ethan Reed, been living on this farm just outside Millbrook for about 15 years now. Quiet life. After my wife passed, it's mostly just me and the animals. Chickens, a couple cows, one very opinionated goat, and Buster. He's a 5-year-old Yorkshire pig with the kind of laser focus I've only ever seen in bomb-sniffing dogs or divorce lawyers. For weeks, he'd been digging in the same exact spot near the old chicken coop. I'd fill it in, and the next morning, he'd have it halfway to China again. I thought maybe he'd hit a patch of truffles or something. Turns out, what he was sniffing out had a lot more history than mushrooms. Now, we've got this old legend in Millbrook, one of those things people bring up at the diner when coffee's running low. Sheriff Arthur Caldwell vanished in 1923. Just up and disappeared, no warning, no goodbye. Some folks say he ran off in the middle of a stormy night, others whisper about foul play, but after 100 years, it's mostly become town trivia. Except when Buster kept going back to that one spot, digging like his life depended on it, things stopped feeling like trivia and started feeling a lot more like fate. Gianna Vance, our HOA president, 75 years old, lives 3 doors down, has a ruler in her purse at all times, shows up at my place one morning, and she's not just doing her usual measuring grass routine. No, this time, she walks straight to Buster's hole without me saying a word. She stands over it like it's a grave. Turns out, it kind of wasn't. She's shaking. Hands trembling, voice quivering, and repeating over and over, "This is a dangerous area. You need to stop immediately." I asked her what was dangerous about it, and she couldn't give me a straight answer. Just something about land use and community safety standards. But her eyes said she knew exactly what was under there. Then she starts snapping pictures, measuring the hole like it's a crime scene, scribbling notes into this one leather notebook that looked like it had survived the Great Depression. She made a call when she thought I couldn't hear. Her voice dropped to a whisper, and I caught just one sentence: "It's starting again. We have to stop this before it goes too far." Then she saw me watching, hung up fast, turned red, and started mumbling about HOA guidelines again. That night, I sat on my porch, watching Buster dig like he was on a mission from God, and I thought about what my mom used to say: animals can sense what people can't. And watching him dig with that kind of focus, like he was following a scent, a memory, something invisible, I started believing her. And then, well, the next morning was when everything changed. 3 patrol cars pulled into my driveway. Sheriff Wade Steele stepped out with 2 deputies in tow, and yep, Gianna was there too. She was wringing her hands like someone at a funeral. The look on her face. Not bossy, not smug, terrified. Sheriff Steele walked up to Buster's hole, took one look, and I kid you not, he turned white. "Jesus Christ," he muttered. Gianna nodded like she'd been waiting for this moment and said, "I told you this would happen." Steele called for backup, said something about a community safety assessment, which, let me tell you, is not what they usually do when a pig digs a hole. When I tried to walk over, he raised his hand and said, "Mr. Reed, step back. This could pose a serious threat to public safety." His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. I asked him what kind of threat, what the hell they thought my pig had dug up, but he wouldn't answer. Instead, he grabbed a shovel from his truck and started covering up whatever Buster had found. Fast. Frantic. Like he was trying to hide a fire. They roped off the area with yellow tape, said it was historically sensitive due to some fake story about old mining operations. Thing is, there's never been mining here. Just farms, trees, and one sheriff who went missing in 1923. But then I saw something just before Wade shoveled it over. It looked like fabric. Blue. Denim, maybe. And something metal buried deeper. That night, I waited until their patrols stopped circling. Buster, smart little guy, was pacing like he knew I was about to do something big. So, I grabbed a flashlight and a shovel and went back out there. Buster followed. Within 20 minutes of digging, we hit something. It was fabric. Old. Faded. Wrapped around what looked like bones. And then I heard footsteps. I turned and saw Gianna coming out of the dark, clutching that same notebook to her chest. Her voice cracked when she spoke. "Ethan, please. You have to stop. You don't understand what you're digging up." I asked her whose clothes those were, and she broke right there in the dirt beside me. "He was my grandfather," she whispered. "Sheriff Arthur Caldwell. He didn't leave town in 1923. He was murdered. Right here." Her story came out in bits and pieces. When she was 25, she learned from Wade's grandfather that Arthur had uncovered a criminal network bootlegging, cattle theft, bribery all run by the Steele family. Her grandfather tried to expose it, and they silenced him. Buried him right under this land. My land. And then came the twist that knocked the air out of my lungs. This farm. The one I inherited, poured my life into. It was payment. My great-grandfather helped bury the sheriff. And they gave him this land to keep quiet. Suddenly, my legacy, my pride, everything I thought I stood for was built on a murder. Gianna begged me to stop. Said if the truth came out, it would destroy both our families. Said people would go to prison. But I looked at Buster, sitting there by the bones he'd uncovered, and I knew I couldn't bury this again. Not after a century of silence. So I told her, "It's time your grandfather got justice." And that's when it all went to hell. Wade showed up. Angry. Desperate. He knew. And I could see it in his eyes. She was ready to do anything to protect his family's secret. Anything. But what he didn't know was that I'd been recording everything. Every confession. Every threat. Every lie. And I'd already posted it online. By the time he realized, it was too late. The video went viral. Reporters. Investigators. The state. The feds. They all came rolling in like a wave we couldn't stop. And you know what? That old sheriff, the one people thought ran away in disgrace, finally got a headstone. Sheriff Arthur Caldwell. 187511923. A good man who died for the truth. All because one pig refused to stop digging. Now here's the question I want you to think about. If you found out your land was part of a cover-up, would you speak up? Or stay silent to protect your family? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because sometimes, justice needs more than just the truth. It needs someone stubborn enough to dig until it's found.